College football is back, baby. This weekend, I cannot wait. It's week 0. It doesn't have a great slate of games. We're going to go ahead pick most of the games. I'm going to avoid Sam Houston and Western Kentucky because I can't give you an honest opinion on them yet. I haven't watched any tape on them. So I'm going to skip that game. I do think Western Kentucky wins, but we're not going to go in detail because I don't have any intelligent input to offer here. So personally, I really can't wait to get into this. I can't wait for the weekend slate. It isn't great, but I'm just excited to have football back. We're going to kick it off with some of the easier games, and then we'll go back to the big finale here at the end. And really, the game in Dublin's the one big game of the weekend. So we're going to hit the other ones kind of quickly, and then we'll try to look a little deeper at Iowa State, Kansas State. So kicking it off, UNLV, Idaho State at 4 p.m. I think UNLV with new head coach Dan Mullen's going to be really interesting this year. They're a 26.5-point favorite over Idaho State in this game. And personally, I think there's absolutely a way that they demolish that and go over. Now, 26.5 points is a huge spread to predict with a new head coach and not really knowing how everybody's going to fit his system. So I am going to go ahead and say they hit the under there. Idaho State keeps it slightly closer than that, but I do think UNLV wins. I'm guessing by probably 24. That part don't really matter, but I do think it's still going to be a big victory. I just don't know if it'll be that big of a victory. I really like Dan Mullen. You know, if you haven't followed along, it's your first time finding my channel. I'm a Gator fan. Dan Mullen was our head coach, and honestly, I wasn't one of the people that really hated him. I really like Coach Mullen. I just think he wasn't fit for a top tier program as far as recruiting went. And Florida wasn't set up to have success because they weren't going to impress kids just based off of facilities and stuff like that. You needed to really work hard to get them to come here. You needed them to buy in. You needed to spend the time with them until we got the new facilities built. And I'll give Dan Mullen that. He wasn't given the best here when he came to UF. He had to get that stuff built. He had to get the funding for that together. And he did do it for us, and he never got to reap the benefits. But at the end of the day, I still don't think he worked that hard as a recruiter or as hard as he could have as a recruiter. And I think he still treated a little bit like Mississippi State used to be. So I think UNLV is closer to that, where maybe you don't have to fight for them top dogs and you're looking for the under the radar guys who you think you can develop and you can mold and build into great players, which is something Dan Mullen loves to do. And I think that this job's really going to suit him, and I'm excited to see how it goes. And I wish him and his family nothing but the best. And I hope UNLV turns out fantastic this year. Moving on to the next game, it's a 6:30 kickoff on Fox. It's Kansas State, Fresno State. I think Kansas State will win this game. I'm just going to be honest about that. EJ Warner starting at quarterback for Fresno State. That's Kurt Warner's son, the Hall of Fame quarterback. And they have at Kansas, they have Jalen Daniels returning. And you know what? If he can actually stay healthy, I think this team could be really good. The problem is you just don't know anything about the health of Kansas, man. They are so up and down, and you just don't know if they're ever going to be healthy. I think they have Daniel Heisog coming in at running back to replace Devin Neal. I liked him. I think at receiver, Emmanuel Henderson, somebody I like that's transferring in from Alabama. I think he could have a big year. I remember him as a recruit watching highlight films of him, and I do think that he's a good player. And, you know, hopefully it works out. I think Kansas wins this game. I don't know that they're going to cover the 13-point spread, though. I'm going to go ahead and say they win, and they go under on that one as well. And it's going to be a little bit closer of a game, unless their talent just completely shines through, which I'm a little worried about because, you know, Kansas is Kansas. But I think this right here will be a closer game, but I think Kansas will get the job done. Now, like I said, we're skipping Western Kentucky, Sam Houston State. The final game of the evening is Stanford traveling to Hawaii to take on the Rainbow Warriors. This game surprisingly has Hawaii as a 2.5-point favorite. And to be honest with you, I'm not totally blown away by it, I guess I should say. I did pick Stanford to win in my ACC preview earlier this week that if you haven't checked out, go ahead, check it out. I picked every team's record and gave an idea whether I thought the game was a guaranteed win, a guaranteed loss, and then toss-ups in there that kind of don't know how they'll go. And I predicted records for every team across all of the Power Four. They're just in separate videos. The ACC was the last one to drop. I did, though, give Stanford the win there. And my logic for doing that was, even though Hawaii was favored, I think Stanford, despite all the issues with Frank Reich coming in, the late firing of Troy, Sac State former head coach, I can't remember Troy Taylor. Despite the late firing of Troy Taylor, I think Stanford still should have better athletes because they're a Power 4 program. They're an ACC program. And I'm going to trust that despite I think they're probably the worst team in all of Power 4 this year. Like, I predict Stanford to win 2 games at best. And to be honest with you, I didn't feel good about doing that, especially with Hawaii being favored. But I'm gonna stick with that prediction, despite me maybe thinking it's a bad idea to do so. And I'm gonna give Stanford the win here, and I say they win by maybe 3. And just being bigger, faster, and stronger probably will make the difference for them, despite the fact that I think they're not a good team. But we'll have to see on that one. But the game everybody is excited about for this weekend. It's not a big primetime matchup, but it was really smart for the Big 12 to get this game front and center to begin the season. It's a good matchup that normally would be buried on a weekend that has games overshadowing it. So it's really nice to see Iowa State, Kansas State get to stand alone, compete against each other, and start off the season in Dublin. Number 17 versus number 22. I think this is going to be a close game, and the 3-point spread favoring Kansas State makes a ton of sense, man. Iowa State's a really good team. Rocco Beck, really good quarterback. Looking at their defense, I mean, they got Dominique Orange, just a big prospect to know. I'm a NFL draft channel, so he's somebody that I've already paid attention to. He's somebody that could stand out for this defense for Iowa State. I think they're a good team, and I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the Big 12, and I gave this game a toss up when I did my Big 12 preview, because even though I think Kansas State could be the better team this season, they still disappointed to begin last season. They finished last season hot, but they started slow. So is there a chance that'll happen again with Avery Johnson at quarterback? They did lose a really good running back to the NFL, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name. I'm going to actually look it up right here, so my eyes are going to be down because I'm mad that I can't think of his name right now, despite the fact that I absolutely should, and I had him rated pretty high here. DJ Giddens. I don't know why I could not think of DJ Giddens, but they have Dylan Edwards coming in to replace him full time. He played last year with DJ Giddens, and I think he is going to be a good back. I think at receiver, to be fully honest with you, I'm not super excited about who they have on their roster. Now, they didn't stand out on film. I didn't fully evaluate them each individually, but when I watch game tapes and I'm just getting a feel for the flow and I'm looking at players and seeing who stands out, I didn't see receivers stand out, and the guys that transferred in, they honestly, man, they didn't stand out to me. Like the guy from Boston College, Jerand Bradley, didn't stand out for me when I was watching Boston College. Jerron Tibbs, who came from Purdue, didn't stand out to me. So I don't really know fully how I feel about their receiving core. I think their offensive line will be good, but they did lose some talent up there. I think defensively, they're led by Austin Romaine, their linebacker. He is a good player. I just think Kansas State is the better team. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. I predicted them to go 9-3 this year. I have Iowa State going 8-4, and ultimately, this is the game that flip-flopped it for me. I chose to go with Kansas State then, and I'm gonna continue to stand by that. That prediction isn't super old. Like some of my other previews were done back in June, so I could see some of them games changing, especially as we get closer, we get more information about these teams. I feel like Iowa State, Kansas State are kind of who we thought they were when I did the preview just like a week or two ago. So I feel pretty good in sticking with this prediction. I gave it a toss up in my preview, but I was leaning Kansas State in the final record, and I'm going to do it here. I'm going to say Kansas State covers the spread. They win by, I don't know, 4. Maybe it's a 24-20 game or a 31 to, I don't know, 27 game. I don't know. But we're going to say they cover the spread. They win by more than 3. Even though I don't feel comfortable doing that, I think a field goal difference is very likely in this game as well. And as far as betting goes, this is a game I probably wouldn't touch because I don't feel totally great about doing that. But Kansas State is going to be my pick here. I think they will win this game, and I think that they're going to start the season strong. I think Avery Johnson will have a big day. Even though he doesn't have the greatest NFL draft prospects, in my opinion, I think he's a really good college quarterback. Now, I do believe Rocco Beck's the better NFL prospect, but I just don't think their team overall is as good. I really like Matt Campbell for Iowa State, but I'm sticking with Kansas State. I'm trusting my gut. They have a good team, but ultimately the thing is, I think Chris Kleiman and the Wildcats are just going to end up winning this game. So that's it for our quick week 0 preview. This is my first time doing this style of video. So if you have any feedback for me, hit me up in the comments. Give me some feedback. Let me know how I can get better. I've watched college football. I've watched countless hours of tape. I scouted, I think, 300 and something prospects last year. I watched every Power 4 team then. I rewatched a few games just to get a feel of offense and defense for each team when I was putting together my previews. And I tried to notate where guys came from and check back on how they did at their old school for the big name transfers that really mattered. I did my best, and I really feel good about what I predicted this year, at least as good as you can be. You're going to be wrong. That's just going to happen. If everybody knew what was going to happen, football would suck. So I'm grateful that we don't know what's going to happen, and I'm going to be wrong. But man, I can't wait to get this season going. I love football. It's my my favorite pastime, and I love to study it. So I would appreciate it if you're sticking around. Hit that like button. If you want to continue following along, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'd truly appreciate it. But that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm out.